time ago, a beautiful girl named Ella lived in a house with her stepmother and two stepsisters. One stepsister had a high, shrill voice that went all the way up to theirs. And the other stepsister had a low, harsh voice that went all the way down to theirs. The two stepsisters were always dressed in beautiful gowns, and they did no work around the house. But as for poor Ella, she was always ordered about by her stepmother.
Make the bed.
Yes, stepmother.
Wash the dishes. Scrub the floor.
Yes, stepmother.
And when you're all through, sweep out all the cinders in the fireplace.
Yes, stepmother.
Yes, sweep out all the cinders in the fireplace. The poor girl was always sweeping cinders, and the rags she wore as clothes were so full of cinders that everyone called her Cinderella. One day, the king announced a grand ball at his palace. All the girls in the kingdom were invited. The stepsister with a high, shrill voice, and the stepsister with a low, harsh voice, each dressed in their finest. But as for Cinderella...
Cinderella, you're not going to the ball. You're staying home among the cinders where you belong.
Poor Cinderella. She wept as if her heart would break. For she knew the king had a son, a handsome prince.
Oh, how I'd love to dance with him.
At that moment, there was a flash of light, and a little old woman stood before Cinderella.
Who are you?
The little old lady winked an eye and said, I'm your fairy godmother. You shall go to the ball. The fairy godmother waved her magic wand. In a twinkling, Cinderella's rags were changed into a beautiful gown.
Oh.
On her feet were glass slippers.
Oh.
And a pumpkin growing outside the cottage door changed into a splendid carriage with horses and footmen.
Oh, fairy godmother, how can I ever thank you? Now I can go to the ball.
As the carriage drove off, the fairy godmother shouted a warning. Cinderella, you must leave the ball when the clock strikes 12. For on the stroke of 12, your gown will turn back to rags, and your carriage will be a pumpkin once again. When Cinderella entered the ballroom, everyone turned to look at her. She was so dazzling and so beautiful that the prince asked her to dance with him at once. All evening long, the prince danced with Cinderella. The stepsister with a high, shrill voice and the stepsister with a low, harsh voice each tried to attract the prince's attention. But he had eyes for no one but Cinderella. Then suddenly, Cinderella heard the clock striking in the tower. It was striking 12.
Oh, I must go. Goodbye, Prince, and thank you for dancing with me. Goodbye.
The prince called after her, but Cinderella kept running out of the ballroom into the courtyard of the castle. She ran so fast that she lost one of her glass slippers, but she had no time to turn back. Past the gate she went to where her carriage stood, and just as she reached it, the clock struck 12. In a twinkling, her beautiful gown was rags again, and the carriage had turned back into a pumpkin. Back to her cottage walked Cinderella to take her place among the cinders as before. But the prince had not forgotten her. He had found the glass slipper in the castle courtyard, and he was determined to find that beautiful girl that he danced with, for he wished to marry her. Find the girl whose foot fits this glass slipper, ordered the prince of his court messengers, and when you find her, she shall become my wife. Through the length and breadth of the land went the messengers, and finally arrived at the cottage where Cinderella lived. The stepmother greeted the messengers at the door.
I have two daughters. Surely one of them has a foot that fits the glass slipper?
First, the stepsister with a high, shrill voice tried the slipper on. but it was much too small. Then the stepsister with a low, harsh voice tried the slipper on, but it was much too big. The messenger was about to leave when Cinderella shouted,
Wait, let me try it on.
You? Go back to the cinders where you belong.
The stepmother tried to chase Cinderella away, but the messenger had his orders. He was to try the slipper on every girl in the kingdom. Cinderella took off her old, dirty wooden shoe and poised her foot above the glass slipper. And then in slipped her foot, fitting perfectly. When Cinderella was brought before the prince, he knew at once that she was the girl he had danced with. For despite her ragged clothes, her beauty and warm heart shone through. Soon they were married and lived happily ever after.